In today's video, we're going to look at a segment of a sit-down interview I had with the one and only Nelson Nash, the author of Becoming Your Own Banker and the founder and creator of the infinite banking concept. It's by far one of my most precious and treasured interviews I've done to date. And in this segment, Nelson talks about why banks are evil, what is the most profitable business in the world, in his own words, why we finance everything that we purchase, and why people have the money problems that they have. At any time, if you're interested in learning more about this strategy and maybe want to see your own numbers, we have this thing called the And Asset Vault, and other resources down below can be a powerful thing for your life.
That's the problem. The closed mind is because people have been convinced that the world knows how to run things. And they don't. To the contrary, they've been made slaves as a result of the fact that the money function out there, the banking function in life, is necessary. You couldn't live the way that we live today without the banking function.
Right.
Well, it's in the hands of the wrong people. It's in the hands of evil people.
Right.
But most folks don't realize that at all. They've got to study deeply to realize how really bad that it is.
So Nelson, you talk about in your book that the process of banking is the most profitable business in the world.
Sure.
And essentially you're telling people, you're writing this book that's showing them, okay, the process of banking is the most profitable business in the world. It's in the hands of the wrong people.
Yes.
Take that control back.
Take it back. Yes. Anybody can do it. You do through free contract with other free people.
Right.
See, nobody compels you to buy life insurance. Dr. Paul Cleveland that you know about.
Right.
There's this great little video called Banking with Life.
Yeah.
There are about 13 personalities in that video, and he's probably the third one that you will see. And he's explaining that wealth is not money. Wealth is goods and services. Money is the medium of exchange by which we acquire these things.
Yeah.
But you got to realize that the banking function has to be in order for us to enjoy what we do enjoy out there today. That's the essential, but it's in the hands of the wrong people. It should be at the you and me level.
Correct.
And it can be, and it is being done. I know thousands of people today that will never see a bank again in their life.
Wow.
See, most people think banking is a checking account at the bank. No, that is not banking. Banking is about loans. And they're lending money that doesn't exist, and that is evil. If anybody else did that, they'd be thrown under the jail.
Right.
But that's the horrible situation that has occurred just in the 20th century.
So Nelson, I'm writing a book, and the book is about my background, and then I think the vital principles that people need to know about with money so that they can take control of their life. And I give you credit in the book for this following statement. It's, we finance everything that we purchase.
Yes, that thought came from Richard Cantillon only 300 years ago. That's all. It's been around.
It was like yesterday, right?
See, most folks don't even know who Richard Cantillon was. But money has a cost. It's always worth something. You either pay interest to somebody else or you give up interest. So
what I try to show people is the value of your dollar is more than just the value of that dollar today.
Sure.
So that dollar could have earned your entire life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so you had an aha moment when you were in the life insurance business and people were selling life insurance for death benefit. And you had this epiphany that if we solve our need for finance, because we spend more money than we need to protect it. Can you kind of go into if we can solve our need for finance, our life will be radically different?
Sure, because that's very easy to demonstrate, because in my book, Becoming Your Own Banker, I've done the study some time ago about the pattern of spending that people have, that there are some principal things out there. There's things like automobiles, for instance. There's houses and things of that nature. And you'll find that out of every dollar that the typical person in America spends a day, that 35% of every dollar is interest alone. Well, they got that from a bank out there. And so that energy is going to somebody else who's living well off of it. Now, if you can have that same energy directed toward your own system, it's my airplane analogy in the book.
Can you explain that?
I'm an aviator, so let's pretend this, Caleb. Let's say that you're in Birmingham, Alabama, and you want to go to Chicago, and your airplane can fly 100 miles an hour. Well, that's a plus there. And so I'm pointing out that let's give the guy on the street the benefit of the doubt. Let's say he's saving 10% of whatever he makes, and that is a bald-faced lie.
Yeah.
It's much worse, but I want to be gracious in my example. Okay, so the 10 is a plus, but you cannot fly an airplane through a vacuum. It's impossible.
Correct.
You got to fly through an environment. And so you've seen the highs and lows on the weather map.
Yep.
The highs are the good weather in the northern hemisphere. They flow clockwise. And so you're in that 100-mile-an-hour airplane, and here's this big high-pressure area that has come in off the left coast. And you have a 350-mile-an-hour headwind, and you have a 100-mile-an-hour airplane. Well, the net effect of that is that your airplane is going toward Cuba at 250 miles an hour. Well, that's what's going on out there with most of America today. People are trying to save, but their environment, and they have a headwind coming at them. They're not taking into consideration the environment. Wow. All right. Now, let's say that the air mass moves on, which they do. They always do. There are no exceptions. Now it moves on to the east, and now the high is right over Indianapolis. There is no wind in the middle of that at all. It's dead calm. Right. You get in that airplane, and you're flying 100 miles an hour. Well, you've got rid of that debt pictures out there. Right. Now, that's what all the financial geniuses out there, and I say that in quotes, like Dave Ramsey. Right. Get out of debt, get out of debt, get out of debt. I hardly agree. But none of those folks talk about this. Let the air mass move on, Caleb. It will. Now, it's over Washington, D.C. Now you have a 350-mile-an-hour tailwind. Wow. So your airplane's going 450 miles an hour. Yes. It's the same airplane. Wow. So you've recaptured that which was going to somebody else, and now it's going to your benefit. And so that's what makes it so profitable. You know, one of the things I'm thinking out loud, the problem that we have is people have this massive headwind, and they're literally an example of an airplane going backwards. Yeah, sure. Okay? Absolutely. Then the financial geniuses of the world are like, get rid of the headwind and just go 100 miles an hour. But what you figured out is we can take the power of banking and start using that in our favor, take that headwind, make it a tailwind. You're still going 100 miles an hour. You're still... Sure, the airplane's the same in all three situations. But your airplane's going 450 miles an hour because you have the process of banking on your side. You got to understand that the environment is something you cannot avoid. It's impossible to avoid it. If the people listening to that understood that, that's all there is to it. It could change their life. It's ridiculously simple. But again, that is the bane of the existence of mankind, I guess. They want to complicate things. Right. It makes them feel like they're smarter if they complicate it. You know, one of the things that we were talking about before we got into the studio is I'm a big numbers person. Yeah. And you were like, numbers complicate things. Math complicates things when it breaks down, when you break it down. Sure. Absolutely.